Legacy 2026 is finally upon us, and with that we have seen the release of 3 new Legacy sets. The smallest one of the bunch, and honestly one of the most interesting ones of the bunch, has definitely been the character display. This is the smallest one that we've gotten so far, but it's definitely caught a lot of eyes. And that is because of what this set truly does offer. This is a £35 set that comes with a build, but more importantly, every single one of the Legacy ZX Ninja, an entire line of ninja minifigures in a relatively cheap set. And it has definitely been noteworthy to a lot of people because we have never seen this before. But the question is the set actually even good? And that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. We are going to be giving a review to the new character display set, take a look at the ins and outs, and decide whether or not this is actually worth your money, because it is the begging question, especially considering how difficult it is to currently get your hands on. So, without further ado, let's take a look. Also, expect videos on the other 2 Legacy sets very soon. To start things off, we are going to very briefly take a look at the box itself, because it is nice to take a look at these things. There is nothing of note in terms of information about the set, but the thing is that it is just an extremely clean box. To anyone who is a box collector like myself, you will find yourself being very much pleased with this. There is no additives, there is no extra bloom, there is no nothing that will make you honestly just kind of make it feel ugly. It is very to the point, and I love the art that it does give. The main source of information you're actually getting from these additional pieces is actually the instruction book. On one of the first pages, you actually do get some information about the set itself. It is described as a celebration of minifigures, which is really cool to see, and it does give you some references to certain things that you will find within the set. And the main thing obviously being a comparison of the original ZX minifigures to the ones that they have given us now. And the thing is, I will show you all of this later on within the video, but it does give you a very nice insight into what you are actually going to be getting, and it is very nice for it, and I definitely do appreciate it. But let's actually get on to the main build of this set itself. You actually get the front of the Monastery of Spinjitzu. It is set up essentially as a diorama, as a set piece. It doesn't really have much in the way of play features. It is purely set up just to service the minifigures, but that doesn't make it bad. This set is highly detailed. There's a lot that's going into the set itself. There is so many little aspects and so many little Easter eggs within this set that will truly make things surprising. Simply coming around to the back, for example, you will find back here that whilst there isn't too much detail in terms of the monastery build, underneath the monastery floor itself, you will actually see Wu's tea that you see within the pilots, and also a certain depiction of some art. And this is actually the battle between brothers. We are actually getting LEGO depictions of this legendary story, and it's very nice to actually get it, and a very fun reference for any Ninjago fan. It's just very fun little additions and very fun little things to actually have a good little nod at, and I really do like the fact that LEGO are giving these things for Ninjago fans. It's completely unnecessary, and the build would have been completely fine without it, but it really does serve a further purpose and definitely does give value to this thing. When I was actually building this set though, there was one thing that definitely stuck out to me. One thing I noted was the use of green at the base of the build. It almost looked grass-like. It looked like they were adding some nature to the monastery, and it did make me wonder where the inspiration for this specifically was drawn from, because the original monastery didn't have any sort of depiction of nature, and it did make me wonder what they were actually going for. And then it hit me. These are references to Dragon's Rising. The stuff like the grass and the trees are a reference to the more natural look that the monastery took on in these later seasons, which I do think is the perfect combination of old and new within Ninjago. Honestly, the point of Legacy in of itself is meant to represent the original monastery, and we have the suits that also represent the original show, but the thing is that there are the elements of the newer times, and I do think that is a perfect use of everything that we actually see within the set. Honestly, it is the perfect icing on top, and definitely does make the set a lot better to me. The only other thing though I really want to mention in relation to the build itself is the base that it does stand on. It follows the theming of the 15th anniversary stands that we have gone for the additional minifigures, and again I will go into that a bit later, but to see the monastery on this stand does imply that this is meant to be the centerpiece of your 15th anniversary display, and I totally understand that, but I would like to see how LEGO intends on us to depict it, considering the fact that one of these stands are meant to house 3 different minifigures, aka the one with the first Spinjitzu master, young Wu and young Garmadon from Old Town. But whilst this does seem to be the centerpiece, and I'm very happy for it, I definitely just want to know how they want us to use it moving forward. But again, I really do like it. But I have to say that whilst this build is small, simple, and very much to the point, and is just simply a display, I really do like this thing. I think there is just so much good for this thing, and I definitely do appreciate what it truly is. And also, it is just an extremely fun build. I had a lot of fun putting this thing together, and I think there are some really cool tricks when it does come to this build. So honestly, I just really appreciate it, but I think I know why a lot of people are also here. So let's finally talk about the minifigures. This set comes with a grand total of 8 minifigures, which is honestly incredible to see. We have the Core 6 Ninja, we have Wu, and we have the Master of Lightning being Libba. We have so many additions when it does come to this, so let me go through them individually. To start off with Wu, he is a recreation of his original minifigure look, and I think it does accomplish it very well. The detail and the printing is absolutely fantastic, taking on the more basic aesthetic that we all remember and love. Me saying basic is not a bad thing, it's just saying that it was very simple and to the point, which is very nice to actually see. The colours blend very well, because for the most part it is just white, black and tan. I think there is just a lot of very good to come with it, and I definitely do think it's a good look. There is just so much life within this version of Wu, and I definitely do think it's a very nice one to actually have. I think it's a brilliant update, and it is nice to see that Legacy is making these brand new minifigures in a very good way. Honestly, Wu is going to become a very common minifigure, I do believe, because as far as I can tell, he is in all of them. I know for a fact he's in the display, of course, I also know he's in the blacksmith shop, but as far as I'm concerned, he is also in Old Town. So it's definitely a case of we're going to have a lot of these Wus, so it's going to be definitely easy to get, but I'm not mad at that, and I'm definitely happy that we can see it. The thing is that he also then just simply has his staff. I think the staff is a fantastic addition and definitely does round it off, and honestly on an overall, just a fantastic version of Wu, and definitely one of the better ones that we have had in a very long time. But honestly, he's a very consistent character, so I don't think that was honestly too difficult, but he's definitely nice to have in this set. The second minifigure that I do want to talk about is actually Nia. Nia in this set is actually adopting her Samurai X look, again more reminiscent of the first season. There is a lot of inspiration within this minifigure that does call back to that original Samurai X, but also having its own unique spin. There are also some call-ins here about the fact that she is destined to become a ninja, such as the blue belt. But it is just so much detail and so much love within this Nia. Her main accessory is just simply 2 blades, which is a callback to just some renders that we saw in the original show. She never really had blades, but the thing is that that's not overly bad. It's a nice addition nonetheless. And again, especially if you do take a look at all of the printing and the details, you can really see that there's just a lot of love here. I really like how it's presented. It really does feel like a samurai in a lot of different ways. The other big thing is of course the fact that the Samurai X helmet now is officially using the bigger crest. We saw this a lot in the Pixel versions of Samurai X, but never the Nia versions, and I like the fact that they have moved over to this version for Nia this time round. It just simply looks better. The last thing in particular is the fact that she does use shoulder armor, of course again being more of a ninja piece, but the thing is that she kind of did that in the original seasons as well. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I don't really care for the use of the shoulder pads. Honestly, they could have used the ZX shoulder pads and I probably would have been happier, but this isn't a bad addition per se, it's just one that I wasn't really expecting. But I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't take away from the minifigure for me. It's just a really good looking version of Nia and definitely a very welcomed addition to this set as well. And also on screen right now is her next to the original version like I have talked about. This is in my opinion a very clear upgrade and definitely a much better approach when it does come to Samurai X. The only thing I do wish they could have potentially have done is given her a unique head print. Give her something that would have had the visor like Samurai X. But I'm going to be honest, I don't think it would have been viable for them to have made that head print just simply down to the fact that it only would have been used here. But honestly, that is a complete nitpick, and on an overall, I really like this version of Nia, and I'm very happy to have it. Figure number 3 for me is going to be Cole. Cole has been a very interesting addition for me. He has been a minifigure that the more I look at it, the more I really don't know how I feel about it. Now this one of course suffers from something that a few of these minifigures do suffer from, which is the fact that all of them are using the gold crest and the gold shoulder armor. Of course Cole originally speaking was actually silver, and a lot of people really don't like this change. And for me, even though I do like this version, it definitely is coming across as my least favorite adaptation. Don't get me wrong though, the printing and the details on this Cole are absolutely fantastic. They are extremely faithful to the original ZX Cole, and I definitely do appreciate that. Honestly, all the designs are bang on and it's a perfect modernization of it. But the thing is just he kind of is just the least notable to me in a lot of different ways, and unfortunately that does actually translate through to his weapon. This version of the Scythe that Quakes is a brand new incarnation of the weapon, and unfortunately it might honestly be one of the worst ones. I really don't know what they were doing here, and it's really unfortunate to see that they kind of missed the ball on this scythe. And honestly, I really do not blame them, because it definitely does come across as weak, and I do think that in combination with the fact that I just don't really have too much to say about this call really does lead me to believe that it's just not really the most notable of the bunch. Not to say it's my least favourite, but it definitely isn't my favourite. And again, you can see him next to his original design. I really like the original, and it definitely does stand out to me, and this is a very good version of Cole nonetheless. Don't take this as me saying this Cole is bad, it's just I think I just prefer the other ones, but that's not bad whatsoever, and you will always naturally lean towards certain ones over others, and honestly, I very much understand if this is someone's favourite, but as for me, I think this is just the least notable of the bunch. But on to the next one, and fair play to Cole. The next ninja I want to talk about here is actually going to be Lloyd. Lloyd is another one for me where, when I initially saw it, I felt like there was something initially off, but it did feel very much similar to his original design. This version of Lloyd does do very well at replicating the original ZX, but the thing is, and it's been pointed out to me, that they made the belt actually lower, and I did think it made this version of him kind of proportionally off. But that's not bad by any extent to the imagination. The other big difference is, of course, again, he is going for the gold instead of the gunmetal grey. But again, honestly, I don't really mind this, and reminds me a lot of Kimono Lloyd, so I do think it's a fantastic addition nonetheless. But I'm going to be perfectly honest, I just don't really have any sort of complaint with this Lloyd. I just think it's a really good looking Lloyd. The detail and the printing on him is absolutely fantastic. I think there is just so much done with him that I think just translates extremely well to this new design. Of course then for weapon, he does just have his season 11 sword. I think this is a fine addition. It would have been cool if he had that original double-ended blade that he had back in his old spinner, but unfortunately they never actually did it, and they just went with this sword, which I think is completely fine, but it does feel a little bit like a missed opportunity, but it definitely does make this version of Lloyd feel a whole lot more complete. And again, when you do put him next to his original counterparts, you can really see that it's just such a faithful redesign. I think this is a perfect modernization of Lloyd, and I think it definitely does accomplish everything you would want in a new version. Honestly, kudos to them, and I'm very glad that this isn't the only time we do get this minifigure, because we do know it is coming in at least the other Lloyd Legacy set. So it's just nice to know that we will have more opportunities to get our hands on this version of him, and I for one am quite happy about that, because it is a good one, and like I said, no complaints. The third ninja I'm going to talk about is actually going to be Kai, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, this is by far, in my opinion, the best of these new Legacy Ninja. This version of Kai is absolutely fantastic looking. There are honestly no complaints I have with him whatsoever. Every single aspect of him I would genuinely consider to be perfect. The print and the detail, everything about this version of Kai just completely harps back to its original counterpart. There is no issue whatsoever with this version of Kai. Honestly, I do think this is the golden standard for what Legacy minifigures should be later down the line. Just a perfect rendition of a 2026 version of a 2012 or a 2011 minifigure. Honestly, I have no issue whatsoever. And then to make it even better, his accessory, of course, being the Sword of Fire, is a fantastic addition to it. It is the original blade and not, for example, the crystallized one. This one is a perfect addition to this minifigure and definitely does take it from a 9.5 to a very solid 10. Honestly, I would love to know if anyone does take issue with this minifigure, because I really don't see any issue with it whatsoever. Putting it next to the original Kai, you really do just see that it is the perfect rendition of that original one, and I couldn't be happier to see this. I honestly think there is nothing better than this Kai. It is possibly going to be one of the best Kais we've had in a very long time. Honestly, if you can't tell, I adore this minifigure. I think there is just nothing wrong with it whatsoever, and it is just simply perfect. This then does bring us to the last two of the ninja, and there's a reason I left Zane and Jay to the back of the review. The thing is that these are the ones that do come with not only the new suits, but also new head prints, and it definitely does feel very interesting to note them. To start off with Zane, Zane's minifigure is absolutely fantastic looking. Again, in very similar vein to Kai, it is a very good rendition of the original. The details are still there, the honestly amazing colour scheme is still there, and it definitely does come across as a very solid looking Zane. But of course, if you haven't noticed, it does come down to the head prints. This Zane has a completely new and fully done up new version of the heads. It's dual-sided and both of the sides are absolutely fantastic, because not only do we get a new battle damage version of Zane, which is always nice to get, and it is completely accurate that, the other side is also an original version of Zane's head. This is the original design, no new designs whatsoever. So we now have a completely new head that is dedicated to an OG design. It is really interesting to see and definitely curious about what they will do with it in the future. This is a fantastic addition, I will say, and if it does have any sort of future implication, I would definitely love to know. But I'm going to be perfectly honest, as it stands, it's definitely one of the best head prints that we've gotten in a very long time. And of course, the addition of the weapons is amazing at that as well. The shurikens of ice are taken from the original ones that we had within Legacy. It's just the original shuriken prints, but with the better grips like that we did get. Honestly, potentially one of the better versions of the shurikens we've ever had. I was kind of expecting the crystallized ones, but as far as I can tell, those ones came on the same sprue as the other one of the crystallized weapons, so it wouldn't have been viable to actually have them anyway. So this is the perfect version to get, and definitely does complete the minifigure as well. It's just a fantastic minifigure, and like I said, the additions to it is just what really makes it. It is a very solid ZX design, as you can see considering the originals next to it, but just adding more to it. And like I said, having that new version of Zane's head being the OG one really does bring a lot to this minifigure, and definitely does bring more of a justification to the entirety of the set in general. Honestly, Zane is a massive standout for this reason, and I definitely do love the minifigure. But that does then bring us to the last of the ninja, and it is of course Jay. Jay has definitely been the source of a lot of controversy, because of course the whole thing is that he has a silver arm to go with the silver armor, but because everyone went gold, so did he. So you now have silver on top of gold, and a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of it, initially speaking, me included. But I'm gonna be honest, it is starting to grow on me. To get things immediately out of the way, the original ZX details and printing is absolutely fantastic. It is near enough one for what the original design truly was. I really do appreciate the details, and it definitely is a nice modern rendition. But again, we really do need to go back to the fact that it is a gold. And honestly, considering the more I look at it, the more it just kind of looks good, the more I'm realizing that it isn't honestly that as bad as a lot of people did say it out to be. The other thing that you may not have noticed is that the silver on the torso itself does have flecks of gold, and I definitely do think that does a lot for making things blend in a little bit more. Honestly, I really don't think it's a bad addition whatsoever now it's finally in hand. As for his accessories though, he does come with the nunchucks of lightning. It is technically a new rendition as well. It uses the legacy handles, which is always nice to see because they were my favourites, but a much more shortened down version of the chain. Personally speaking, I really think they should have gone with a translucent blue. Honestly, I think it's about time they finally commit to doing it. But the thing is that this is still a very good version of the nunchucks nonetheless, and a lot less messy considering, like I said, there's just simply not as much chain. But honestly, I really do like everything that they're doing here, and I do think it's a fantastic look. The other thing I did have to point out though was the fact that there is again another new head print. Nothing really particular and no particular callbacks like how Zane's was, it's just that we do have new facial features for Jay, and I really do like that they've done that, and I do think it's a nice addition. A new version of the smiley face or the awkward grin, and a new version of the angry face. Honestly, I do think they are very nice additions, whilst I do also understand why people don't really like the proportions of it. Honestly, it's just nice to get these new versions of the head regardless though, and I do hope Jay's does stick around for a lot longer. But again, if you do put him next to the original design like I have here, you really do see that it's a fantastic modernization of Jay. And again, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I really do not mind the gold. I initially didn't like it, but now I dare say I actually do like it. So fair play Jay, you did win me over, and it is a very solid looking ninja. But before I do go into the last of the minifigures, of course again being Libba, I do just want to bring together the ninja team and give an overall thought. In case you haven't noticed, I really do like this line of ninja. I really do like this suit line, and the fact that you can get it all in this one set is a very big tell. Not to spoil my final recommendation, but it definitely is fantastic for that very reason. And they just look unified, they look good, and they look like a ninja team. This is just really nice and very refreshing to see, and honestly, I couldn't be happier with the final product. But of course, now let's look at the final edition. Libba here, or the Master of Lightning, is the collectible for these 15th anniversary sets. She is one of 7 elemental masters that we can collect. We do know what all of them are, apart from one of them as of the time of filming, but she is the addition for this set, and the minifigure itself is actually really good. The detail and the printing is absolutely fantastic looking. I think this design is spot on for what we initially had, and definitely you can tell where all the inspiration did come from. She has all the details that you'd expect, she has all the goodness that you would expect, and honestly, I really do like this version of her. There is no additional head print or anything like that, which is a massive shame, but to be perfectly honest, she doesn't necessarily need one. Honestly, I really like the one that we have, and it is definitely very full of life. Honestly, that's just how I would describe all of this minifigure, just extremely full of life, and it just makes me want to know more about the character within the universe itself. As for the accessory though, she does just simply come with lightning elemental powers, and it is very nice to actually see. I think it's just a fun addition, and I really don't have any problems with this. And of course, you could give her something else like a blade, or for example, but honestly, her elemental power is more than enough, and I really do like this as an addition to the set. The last thing to mention is the fact that she did of course have her own addition to the stand. It's a very simple stand, and I do think it's a very nice one to have, and I do like the printed 15th anniversary logo on the piece as well. Just a final nice addition, and I can't wait to have this next to all of the others. But just like that on an overall, I think this is a fantastic minifigure, and it's definitely got me excited for the rest of them. Honestly, if this is anything to go by, we are definitely in for it very well. Libba is a perfect first exposure to what we were going to get of these original Elemental Masters, and I am all here for it. But just like that, that is actually everything that this set does cover. This is everything you are getting for the price point that they are asking for. Of course, in my case, it is £35, and I am basing everything off of the amount that I spent on this set. And it does beg that ultimate question: is this set truly worth the price? Is everything you're getting worth that price tag? And honestly, I really do think this is the best bargain that you will get for a very long time within Ninjago. Ninjago has had a very big problem with price gouging in a lot of different ways, and a lot of different sets really do feel disingenuous in what you get in terms of value. But this one truly does have value to it. You could buy this set and very comfortably move on when it does come to the 15th anniversary. This has everything you need and has a fantastic way of showing it off. I really do think this is a no-brainer if you're a Ninjago fan. I think this truly has everything that you could want within a Ninjago set, and for that reason, I really do think you should pick it up. I really think this is one of the best sets we've gotten in Ninjago in an extremely long time. And that is why I just want to make this so clear. This honestly is a fantastic start to Legacy, and I understand why it is very hard to get your hands on. This is a fantastic set and definitely has everything going for it. I honestly do not have a problem with this set in any sort of capacity. So if you do want to know what my true feelings are, this is one of the best Ninjago sets we've ever gotten. It is a very rare exception to the rule of critique, because I really don't have anything bad to say about it. Anything that I did say was nitpicking at best, but honestly, I really don't think there is anything wrong with it, and you definitely wouldn't be disappointed. So I would love to know what you guys are going to do when it does come to the set. Are you picking it up? Is it something that you're going to skip out on? I would love to know your in-depth thoughts on the set, because I truly do think it's one of the most interesting things that has come out of Ninjago. But like I said, on overall, I really do like this set, and I hope you guys do like it as well. But just like that, thank you very much for watching my review on the Ninjago minifigure display. Expect more reviews for all of the Legacy sets, because I am very much looking forward to looking through them myself and showing them off to you guys as well. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video. And if you did, please consider subscribing. And if you do want to support the channel any further, you could become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Particular shout out to Grandmaster Sensei 28208 for being the eternal legend. But just like that, thank you very much for watching, and take care. Okay,